Hey there. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Gonna give people a minute or two to trickle in, and then we will get started. Thanks for joining. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start. As you will have seen, this is being recorded, so you'll get a copy, a link to it by email after the event. And we're also going to put this up on our website, and you can share it with anybody else who you think might be interested in seeing it in your organization. Let me very quickly introduce myself. I am Peter. I am one of the co-founders and the CEO of Vendorful. And we're starting what is going to be a regular short live demo of Vendorful focused on how to solve specific issues. So, even if you're not that interested in Vendorful per se, check back periodically. We'll be covering a bunch of different problems in supply chain and procurement. And so, the topics themselves might be of interest, even if the product is not, and that's totally fine. You can check our website for an updated schedule as it comes out, and I hope you all get something out of it. So the topic today is about supplier diversity. What's really interesting, it's been a big topic in procurement and supply chain. There's a lot of value to be had from having a diverse supply base, and also a lot of companies, just for social and governance reasons, are pushing diversity initiatives. It is very difficult for people to make progress on those sort of in a vacuum, and we've seen repeatedly among our customers, among people who are not our customers, just people we talk to, people we meet at conferences, that the data foundation is lacking most of the time from most organizations that have started a diversity initiative. So, the basic question of how much are we spending with diverse suppliers today is very difficult for people to answer without a protracted data gathering exercise where they're having to go out and do kind of a census of their suppliers. And that's sort of a one-time thing, and then the data quality will be good for a little while, and then it will kind of deteriorate over time as more suppliers are onboarded, and that data is increasingly becomes stale. So we're going to focus on today is basically kickstarting that initiative, so you can run that kind of ground zero census very quickly and easily. Put out that work to your suppliers, and then start to make real progress on the actual initiatives and the goals that you're looking to set. As part of that, I'll talk about how you can bring in data from third-party sources to identify diverse suppliers, as well as validating and certifying information if that's important to you. It's a whole separate topic about sort of certified versus non-certified diverse suppliers and the cost and expense of getting those certifications, and whether setting that standard is kind of too high a bar for many small diverse businesses. That's sort of beyond my expertise, but it is a topic in itself, and I'll touch on it at least a little bit. All right, so let me orient you to what you're seeing here and what we're going to discuss. So you're looking at the Vendorful vendor management page. For those of you who don't know us, we use vendor and supplier interchangeably. I know some people in the space have kind of strong feelings about one word versus another, but Vendorful has a nicer ring to it than Supplierful, so we like vendor here. Okay, so basically you'll see there's kind of a collection of data here. We've got a bunch of suppliers and information we're collecting about them. And you'll, if we drill in, you'll see that basically there's kind of a standard template applied where we've got, what we call, our standard template. We have a library of community templates you can draw from. They're customizable. But this, standard template that we've set up kind of collects these different attribute groups. And you see there's no diversity group here. So let's go ahead and rectify that first of all, because the first step to having good data on a diverse supply base is actually collecting that data and having the place to collect it and having the central repository of that information. So to add that information, as I said, we've got standard templates, sustainability, et cetera. These are kind of just examples. Diversity. This is, and by the way, this is going to be primarily US focused, just in terms of the categories, but the same principles will apply no matter where you are if supplier diversity is an issue in your locality. So we've got this this group set up. We're going to add it to the template. As simple as that. So now our standard template includes these diversity attributes. And I'm going to orient you again just to a couple of things here. So we give you the ability to set how data can be entered in the system. So in this case, this minority-owned field is editable by the vendor. We give you different options here. Things can be hidden from the vendor, can be read-only, can be editable. So, if you wanted to, for example, add an attribute to this that, we're going to say, certification verified, that you've, to mark that you actually, they're not just designating themselves as a diverse vendor, but they've submitted certification documents, and then you've gone and verified them through some process, and we can talk about some of the processes that are available. And we'll make that a checkbox, simple yes, no. And this one, we're going to let the vendors see it so they can see the status of your verification, but they're not going to be able to obviously update it themselves. And so that's it. Now this is added to your standard template. If we flip back over here, refresh this page, you will see that we now have diversity information that we're collecting on Acme, and Acme's already entered some diversity information, so there's data there. So that's the start, having the place to put the data. Next step, probably the most important part is actually starting to run the census. You don't have to go out to all of your people individually. That would be a huge pain. The whole point of having software should be to make your life easier, to not have to go and send a bunch of emails, collect a bunch of Excel documents, start typing stuff from one screen to another. So what we let you do is we're going to just do a quick filter here. Let's just look for vendors in the system that do not have a minority-owned status set. So they're not equal to yes, and it's also not equal to no. All right, so now what we've identified is a short list of vendors. It could be a long list. We've got a much larger data set of suppliers you're working with, but this is a pretty good list of this is all the vendors in our system that have not completed their diversity profiles yet. So the obvious thing to do here is say, all right, we're going to request that everybody update their profile. We're going to send a message to them. We are starting a new supplier diversity program. Let's update your diversity characteristics. Profile, state, if eligible. And obviously this can be whatever you need to be. All right, so now I've gone and sent it off to all of these different suppliers at the contacts that we have in place for them. And some of these are obviously huge companies. Google's probably not going to qualify as a diverse supplier, but some of them in our fictitious world here, Umbrella Corp, Wayland-Yutani, they're smaller companies. And so I'm going to use them. I'm going to use Umbrella Corp as the example here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clear the filters, back to the whole list. Now, pause for a second. I'm going to shift roles here. I'm now, basically taking that action, sent out a bunch of emails. We're doing this cooking show style. I'm now logged in a separate window as a user at Umbrella Corp. And you can see that they have this onboarding request from Vendorful here. We call basically filling out your supplier profile, your vendor profile onboarding. And I've been sending this out in this demo environment as Vendorful. So it's a little meta here. They're seeing inside Vendorful a request from Vendorful Inc. And so that's what's going on here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click in here. And again, I'm doing this as a user at Umbrella Corp. And you see that this is all the information that they've requested, most of which I've figured out, haven't filled in my bank details yet, and very importantly, have not filled in my diversity information. So I'm just going to very quickly fill this out, not minority owned. I'm going to say yes to woman owned, and that's a mistake because I want to show you an approval workflow, basically how you have the option of kind of with minimal pain, actually verifying and correcting information that you think is not correct. And we'll say that we are a veteran-owned business just for the purposes of this exercise. I'm going to say no to everything else. And I'm also going to attach a document. So let's go with, there we go, more Ipsum document. Okay. There we go. All right. So now I've got that submitted, and you can see certification verified. This is not something that I can complete. This is going to be completed by my counterpart at Vendorful. All right, so now I've completed my profile, and I'm going to go ahead and save that. So now all that information is available. So if I flip back over here to Vendorful, first page, and I'm just going to search for Umbrella. And by the way, I would have received notifications as a Vendorful user, as the person sort of responsible for doing this, to say that they have completed their information, and there's a validation workflow waiting for me. So, oops. Did I not save? Hold on 1 second. Okay, let's try that. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Got the all-important save. All right, so we've got, I've gotten the notification that I've got some data to review here. I can see that these are the two fields. We collected a bunch more fields, but in the template, there were only a couple that I'd set to require validation just for the sake of time in a demo. I'm going to say, okay, this is, yeah, I agree. It's not minority owned. This doesn't look right to me. I'm going to write back. Owner, this is wrong. Whatever it is, send that back. So now I've completed my workflow. And if I go back to the main screen here and expand the profile, you can see that this is in a rejected state. And I can look at the audit trail here. They submitted a yes. It's still pending a change on their side, which now I'm going to pause, switch roles, and do. So here I am. I'm back in as the user at Umbrella Corp. Okay, and once again, this is my profile from Vendorful. All in real time, I can see that this has been rejected by Vendorful. Say, okay, yes, actually, that was a mistake. I fat fingered that. We are not woman owned. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now flip back over to Vendorful, and that approval is now awaiting my review. Yes, this looks correct. Great. Save it. Go back and you should see the full audit history of changes that were made and by who. So do this at scale. and turn the problem of collecting this data into a much more organized exercise when we have to review things as they come in and deal with exceptions on an exceptional basis. Couple things I want to very briefly talk about before I sort of go and look at how you can use this data to actually make progress on things like, ensuring compliance with policies about, including diverse supplier, how to make sure you include diverse suppliers in RFX, as an example. It's kind of a common approach that many organizations are taking to increase their supplier diversity. Before I do that, I did want to mention, okay, so we did have this verification field that we had set. And actually, before I make any edits here, so I can see that they submitted this document. There's obviously not much information in here, but let's assume this was a nice, thorough, and correct certification. I've reviewed it, and I can confidently say that yes, I have. Oops, sorry, now I'm back in the umbrella view by mistake. Here we go. Wait, who am I logged in as here? This is the umbrella view. And this is also the umbrella. Oh, sorry, sorry, Zoom bar in the way. Couldn't navigate for a second there. Got confused about where I was. Okay, here we are. Now I'm back at the Vendorful view, and I'm verifying this and saying it's true. Now, let me take a quick diversion here to talk about validation and verification of this information. As I alluded to earlier, there's some I don't want to say controversy, but legitimate disagreement about the best way to approach certification versus not requiring certification versus self-certification versus having different scales of certification. And then verifying those certifications and verifying the information that your suppliers submit for themselves. Now, there's a couple different ways that you can sort of bypass having to do all that work yourself. One is through third-party services, which we happily integrate with, things like Supplier.io, Supplier Gateway, D&B. There's a bunch of different platforms out there that have good information on diverse suppliers. And if you are able to subscribe to a database to identify additional suppliers in the categories that you care about, we happily integrate with those systems and can basically take in the verified data directly from those systems, so you don't have to go through a process of validating it and verifying it yourself. It's already been pre-vetted. The other option, again, one option is always to do it yourself and do the validation and verification yourself, and some customers choose to do that. The other option is if you don't want to subscribe to one of those third-party services, or say you're looking for suppliers in areas where it's actually very hard to identify them through those kinds of databases. The other option is for us to do it for you, which we have resources available to assist and can sort of do that on a project basis or kind of an ongoing retainer basis, and we can address those options depending on your needs and the scale of your supplier base. Okay, so that kind of covers the information collection. Let me talk a little bit about what you can then do with that information. Let me just go back to the homepage. I'm going to open an in progress or an under construction RFP that we're then going to make use of that data in. All right, here it is. New widget purchase. So we are going to buy some widgets. And by the way, I think I build this as saying kickstart the Supplier Diversity program in under 20 minutes. And we set up those templates and sent it out and did all that stuff in under 20 minutes. Now we're looking at how you can actually make use of that information. So let's talk about here. So, we have category. We're looking at widgets. I'm not going to go into a full RFP demo here. That will be for a different date. And what I am going to do is we've got some pricing information we're going to collect from all the suppliers. What I am going to do is I'm going to talk about inviting people to participate. And so you see that we have pre-filtered this by category. So we're looking only at widget suppliers. And this is all the widget suppliers that we have available in this example approved vendor data set. So one thing that we have is a concept of filter sets. So you probably noticed that there were a bunch of different diversity categories. And that's one of the challenges with supplier diversity. It can be unwieldy to maintain. I'm not going to name names because actually I don't know the name of the system, but I know of at least one system that I heard about secondhand through a customer, a user of that system at a conference, that they have their diversity setup requires you to choose just one category, which is a challenge because many diverse businesses will fall into multiple categories. They could be minority owned and veteran owned, right? And depending on the opportunity, particularly if it's say like a government oriented contract, a government affiliated contract, there might be additional benefits to you as an organization to including a veteran owned business, for example. And so it is important in many cases to actually track the specific categories, specific diversity categories that suppliers fall into. It will also help you actually, I think, deal with your suppliers and engage them in improving their data and dealing with certifications if you want to provide that assistance and provide some resources to them to do so. But at the same time, then it's a pain to have to filter by, all right, I'm going to include, yes, I want minority owned businesses. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that again for businesses that are veteran owned. Like that's a huge laborious pain. So we've, created this concept where you can, maintain separate data points for each of the different categories you need, but also say, okay, I just want to group people with a set of characteristics into the bucket diverse vendors. And we can do this in multiple areas. It doesn't just have to be diversity. It could be regions. It could be a whole bunch, pretty much anything could be grouped. Any set of attributes could be grouped in this way. Again, demo for another time. Suffice to say, we're just going to look at all people that fit any diversity category. And in this case, I'm going to, for our mandate is we're going to include 2 diverse suppliers. And I happen to know that, I like Umbrella. They're good in the space. And Blue Sun, I'm just going to put that. That's my contact there. I'm going to leave out Eastern Manufacturing, maybe because we had a bad experience with them. And also, demo for another time. We want you track performance, supplier performance, and integrate that into your decisions on who to include in events. Okay, so we've included a couple of diverse suppliers. I'm also going to go ahead and I'm going to include Acme and Aperture and one more. Oh wait, we already said we're not going to do Eastern Manufacturing. We are going to do Expert. Okay, so now we have gone and we have invited multiple suppliers to this event. Some of them are check our diversity categories. So we're sort of meeting our internal targets and goals for this event. And we can just review this and send it if we're ready. And I can see that, oh, I've got a problem to fix here. This date's going to be in the future. We'll give them until February 17th. And now we're good to go and issue this. And again, like I said, point of this is not to do a demo of RFPs. That's for another time. The main goal here was to basically illustrate how you can relatively painlessly set up a framework for collecting diversity information from your suppliers, push out a request for updates to the information to your whole supply base, not get overwhelmed with the responses, set up the workflows that you want to have for which data points you want to verify yourself, potentially integrate with third-party systems to collect that data instead of going out to your suppliers, or leverage our resources to verify that information that you receive through supplier self-service, and then leverage that information in your actual sourcing events. And then, likewise in reporting and any other, data elements in the system, that information is now available to you. And that was it for me. So if there are any questions, I will be happy to take them in the couple minutes we have left. Just put them in the chat, or I'll pause for a minute there. See what comes in, if anything. Okay, so somebody asked, can you customize the approval workflows and who has the ability to approve them? Yes. So let me back to there are a couple of ways of doing that. So if you wanted to do it on a granular level, you can actually set various permissions at the organization level. You can set these in bulk. You can set this for basically the ability to edit the information, which includes the ability to verify the information, send out invitations, receive emails, et cetera, a whole bunch of different options here. Or you can manage that through the organization user level permissions, and basically, if set them up on a per user basis across the entire supplier set. There's different use cases for each, where you might have category managers that you sort of want to be responsible for specific subsets of your suppliers, and you can very quickly set those in bulk using our bulk actions. Then otherwise you might want to just have kind of general vendor management privileges across a smaller set of users, and you can do that as well. Okay, that looked like it. So I will give you all back a couple more minutes. Thank you very much for attending. Be on the lookout for the recording. And as I said, we'll be doing these regularly, so please check back, check our website for updated event schedule as we post them. So thank you all. Have a good day.